Good afternoon. I am Marcia Weeks, and this is the Marcia Weeks Show. And today we have with us Jennifer Michelle Edwards, and she's going to be talking to us about living off the grid, which I think is a very, very important topic, especially with what we see happening in our world today. We're seeing the ships are backed up, and we're not so sure if our food supply would be affected, especially for us here in the Caribbean. And as a matter of fact, all over the world, we're seeing, high prices in terms of energy and gas we are concerned. People are concerned about what is going to happen. We're seeing the safe zones. We're being told about safe zones where only some people would be able to buy and sell, etc. And so this caused a real concern. But you know what? We're preparing ourselves. We're preparing ourselves. So I want to just take this time to welcome Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hi there. Hi there, Marcia. It's good to be on this show. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with you. I'm looking forward to sharing this information this afternoon.
Yes, most definitely. And, I believe that our viewers are going to just be really blessed with what you have to share today. So go ahead, Michelle, you can get going.
Well, I think it is now the time for us to begin to think off the grid and not just to get worried about that statement, which sounds like it could cost a lot of money. We're talking about small steps and small beginnings. It's about reprogramming our way of life and beginning small, but begin. Anyway, we need to begin. Having discernment for the time and the times we are living in, and be one step ahead or more of what is happening before our very eyes. It reminds me of a scripture which we heard many years ago from Proverbs 22:3 that says, "A prudent man with insight foresees danger coming and prepares and makes plans for it." And another one, discerning the hour in which we live, 1 Chronicles 12:32. We must be discerning the hour in which we live. And so we think that hour is a time of beginning to live a purposely prepared lifestyle for anything that may be coming at us. A little bit about my background and my husband. I'm a Barbadian by birth, and I was schooled here. And then I went to England to do a school of nursing. I attended that and I came back home, and my husband and I married in England and returned home here. He's also a Barbadian by birth, and we have been married nearly 44 years. We have 2 children and 1 granddaughter. His line of work was always in shipping. And so after that, he was involved in working on an estate, a sugar and vegetable plantation, where he honed his skills for planting and learned and loved the land. So we have been living purposely prepared since 2014. We went on a missions trip to Haiti shortly after the earthquake had devastated them. Yet again, because they have been devastated by so many hurricanes and so many tragedies have happened in Haiti. So we got to personally see and experience firsthand the ravages of an earthquake to a land and to a country and to a people. It was dreadful. It was terrible. Thousands upon thousands of people living under tarpaulins. And that was the view from the aircraft window as we landed. When we got on the ground, we could see that people were just walking around, just looking for food, and foraging for food was their daily work. They had nothing to eat, and they just literally spent days foraging for food. We went on a medical outreach, and there were like 400 people queuing every day, waiting to see the doctors that we had come with the team. And they were hungry and dirty and thirsty. And so that was the first thing we had to do before they could see the doctors. My husband, he went and taught them what he knew about farming. And it's amazing how small things that you believe that you have just acquired, small skills or small knowledge, is huge in places like Haiti and in times when we are going to have our backs against the wall, and that those pieces of knowledge and that those skills are going to be used in an amazing, amazing way for survival. It will mean the difference between surviving and premature dying. So understand that everything you know and everything someone else knows is powerful. Knowledge is power. So, Marcia, we go on to explain that when we returned from Haiti, we had in our hearts a desire to become equipped and to learn more about living in a community of refuge and how that would look for ourselves in our family and how that would look in our neighborhood and our communities and in our church. So we saw something online and we jumped at it and took our holiday vacation and went to Nashville and joined an organization called Crisis Response International. And they are a disaster relief organization that integrates with the local, state, and federal response efforts in and outside the US whenever needed. They resource and train and mobilize volunteers from all over the world, from communities and churches and other independent organizations for the purpose of responding to crises, disasters, and compassion initiatives around the world. We are both now trained responders with CRY and can deploy as the need arises. And it's entirely up to us if we wish to deploy. They may ask, but we may say, no thanks, not this time. On returning home, we determined in our hearts that we would begin to live our lives purposely prepared for any impending disaster, be it a natural one, an economic one, or otherwise. We would also share with anyone that seemed interested, anyone, our family, our friends, our neighbors, or people like that. We would share with them what we had learned. At that time, we were living pretty well in a prosperity time in Barbados for most people. And some people thought we were a little bit off the wall and doomsday preppers maybe. So they would politely and gently nod their heads and say, that's nice. But now we find that there is more of an urgency and a necessity for this information. Yes. So we began to live in small ways preparedly. Here I show you on the screen our first crops that we planted in pots and in our front garden, in amongst our flower pots and garden beds. Here's another overview of some cucumbers in their vine state, growing in barrels, half barrels, tomatoes, lettuce growing in pots, pak choy, and various things of that nature, all growing in pots along the roadside in our garden, on the pathways. Here are some cabbages that we were so proud of that grew in the pots, and not a bug to be seen, not a bug.
Wow. And why do you think that is, Michelle? Because those look so beautiful.
Well, I think we planted them in organic soil mix my husband makes. We kept a very close eye on them because they were in our front garden. And so we did not see the amount of yellow fly and different things that we would normally see if they were on a very large scale. So I think that when you plant them in controlled environments, you are less likely to get bugs. We did not spray with any insecticides. The next slide is Sunday morning's harvest.
Wow, I love this fruits. I love it.
So the passion fruits grow on vines all across, quite crazy. They just cover things down. The limes are the West Indian. We have some West Indian lime and some seedless lime that come from being grafted with Seville orange, which some people might be familiar with. The back container is guava, and next to it is a mango, and down this side is some cherry tomatoes and some cherries and a pomegranate, all of which grow in our garden and all of which have fruit on them, you know, obviously seasonal. So here's where we get involved in making preserves and different things. So for instance, the well-known stewed guava and the hot pepper sauce from our peppers, some pickled onions, and in front of the various things there is some cinnamon bark and nutmeg that came from Grenada, compliments of a friend who came from Grenada. So you can use your crops that you get and store them, blanch them, steam and freezer dry them. Different things grow at different seasons, and you may not always have mango, but if you cut it up and put it in the freezer, you can take it down and use it in smoothies. We are even looking at bringing in a dryer, a machine that would actually dry fruit and dehydrate fruit, so that, you know, you see it in the supermarkets, you can get dried fruits and they're quite pricey, but there is a way we can make our own.
So let me ask you something, like the stewed guava that you have there, does it have sugar in it, or it's just?
It has cinnamon, it has bark in it. We put the bark in, and you can do the sugar to taste. So you don't have to put a whole lot, but you can put lots of spice in it, and different spices and cinnamon in it, and it's just as nice. And you can use, you just bring the water to the boil. You obviously have to peel the fruit, cut it in half, scoop out the insides. The insides now are used, you pulp that and you use that either in drink, you can strain and use that in a drink, or you can make jelly out of it.
Ah, this is a guava, so you cut the guava and you can, okay, so you're using every part of the fruit.
We use every part of it, yes, yes. So that is another way that we can utilize everything that's in you know, that we're growing in our gardens. We can look to take the time. It does take a little bit of time. I'm not saying the preparation doesn't take time, but it actually will pay off in the long run, because you utilize all your fruits. You don't waste any. Yeah. Pawpaw is another thing we can freeze. Pretty much everything freezes. Passion fruit and everything, breadfruit. We steam and blanch breadfruit and steam that. Nothing really gets wasted. We put them in Ziploc bags, put them in the freezer, pull them down when you need them. Again, oh, well, let me skip to this. This is a little area in our yard. We just got some old metal frames that somebody was throwing out in their garbage. We stopped, picked them up, put a frame on the top, and here are all the seedlings and the various different things that we're consistently growing. So there you have young avocados, various peppers, mangoes ready for grafting, trays with little limes growing in them, peppers and pomegranates and sugar apples and all that. So that is what keeps us from going to the shop as often as we need to. And, you know, I'm not against strawberries and raspberries and all the imported fruit, but if there comes a time when they're not available or we're not able to access them, we have plenty of wonderful locally grown fruits that we can live off of.
So, Michelle, I mean, this is so very interesting, and we are here talking about living off the grid, and you're talking about all of this food, etc. And you mentioned something. You said that you have, all the fruits and the food that you're growing so that you don't have to go to the supermarket that much. What does that have to do with living off the grid?
Well, living off the grid is an all-encompassing statement. You are not only going to not require or have to have electricity and water from government sources.
Mm-hmm.
It also means that you're not going to have as much food from the supermarkets and the local private enterprises. You will be able to pick your coconuts from the tree and drink your coconut water. If things get shut down and closed down, if there becomes such a shortage of things, as you mentioned about the shipping, that they don't get to bring the items here anymore, we have to look for ways to live off the grid, which is live naturally off of our natural resources. So coconut can be made into milk. If you take the coconut and you drink the water and you break the shell and you scoop off a dried coconut and you take dried coconut and you crush that up and blend it, it turns, and add a little water, you can make the most amazing rice and coconut and vegetables, small bits of carrot and sweet pepper and onion, and make the most amazing tasting rice cook up, and then add a bit of curry and you are good to go. And all of that can be from your own, from your own yard. And so my thing is, how many things have we got to take stock of what each one of us has in our yard, and utilize the space, utilize the, the fruits. And I spoke a lot about, we do a lot of bartering. So our neighbors have things that we don't have in our garden, and we have things that they don't have in theirs. And the word barter means to exchange goods or services for other goods or services without using any money. And so we're going back to that. I'm sure of it. We're going back to trading for things. I was telling a story about us wanting to go to a fancy restaurant once, and they wanted palm trees in pots to beautify their restaurant. And so my husband said, well, how about the palms in the pretty pots for your meals? So we took 4 guests and went with ourselves, and we had dinner that night, and we bartered with them, and we paid the bill in palm trees.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, and breakfast for me this morning, just out of interest, was some limes, which I made lemonade, and a whole lot of lovely Bajan cherries, which was the best source of vitamin C that I could ever want. I do not need Haliborange or Emergency or any of those solar ray vitamin C. If you ate just a small amount of handful of cherries, you would have had your daily need of vitamin C. Passion fruit, we eat just as plain as it is there, or we make juice with it. I'm looking at other ways to preserve and make preserves of passion fruit. And of course, the mango, we still have mangoes. I don't know how, but we had a second crop. So we are eating mango for breakfast, and lunch today is going to consist of some plantain and some breadfruit.
Wow.
So, I feel good. I didn't have to go to a supermarket today to get anything to eat, and I still have enough energy to do what I have to accomplish. So there's the food thing. There's loads of things that we have to do with food. But that's one way of getting off the grid. The next way is rainwater harvesting. And water is an essential to sustain all life forms. And we have in Barbados, I mean all over the world, but specifically we're so blessed with a good It's been a bit drought recently due to whatever reasons, but we are getting rainfall a certain amount every day, a little bit. So if you were to begin to take your utensils, your receptacles, and catch rainwater, you would be surprised to see how much you could collect and put into your containers. This Sunday morning, our granddaughter has made a big game of it. She gets all our plastic jugs and she goes outside, and wherever the gutter is leaking, she puts a container up underneath there, and in tutus it's full, and then brings it in, and my husband then filters it through a muslin or any kind of clear cloth like that, and gets out the sediment and the bits and fills the rainwater into the containers, which we use for cooking and washing and all sorts of things with rainwater. It can be purified for drinking with a few drops of Clorox in a gallon.
You said Clorox, you meant chlorine? Chlorine.
A few drops of chlorine. But Clorox as well will do. If you are stuck and you don't have any, you can put a few little drops in it and it purifies it enough that it will not kill you, right?
Wow.
You use what you have. Yes, so there's the small scale rainwater harvesting. I also talked about plastic sheeting that you lay on the lawn and catch the rain, that the dew and the water that comes off of that. And
you're telling me if I put plastic on the lawn, outside, I would be able to catch water from that?
Yes, you would, and it would be surprising because at the training we went to, it was enough to wash your face and clean your teeth. What we caught on the plastic sheeting, and a heck of a lot more. And this is from
the dew, so the dew settles on the plastic.
That's right. That's right. So here, only at a certain. Anyway, I'm moving here now to the other rainwater harvesting, which is a slightly bigger project that we've got here going on. So here we go. There is the piping, the downwater pipe coming off. You can see it up in the top left-hand corner. The guttering has been taken off of the side of the eaves of the house, and a down pipe has been redirected into two 1,000-gallon tanks, which are very nicely hidden behind all that bush. So you don't get to see them, but they're there, and it's hooked up to a pressure pump that is also set up to run on regular house electrical supply or generator. This system is also plumbed into the house through a filter system. So that is an inexpensive way of setting up, utilizing your own water and coming off the grid of the water authority, which in rainy season, those tanks fill up and allow us to come off for a month or two at a time. And that saves a tremendous amount of money.
So hold a minute. So let's go back to what we need. So you're saying this particular thing here that is normally on your home.
Right.
Can you tell me?
So you redirect it. You get a few brackets from Carter's or a hardware store, any hardware store, and you redirect it down. And you would have to buy either a 400-gallon, depending on the size of what you need, 400, 600, 800, 1,000. They go right up to 1,500. And you direct that down into the mouth of the tank. Yes. And when the rain falls on the roof, all the water comes down there and rushes down into your tank. And then you'll be surprised to see how fast the tanks do fill.
That they fill up, yes. And so what I'm looking on the screen here, this is a guttering that you have redirected.
Yes.
Into the, okay.
And it goes down behind there are the two tanks. You can see the other two tanks much more clearly on the east side of the house. These are 600-gallon tanks, and you can see the two pipes. The pipes here going back into them again.
Yes.
and they are actually mounted on a little wire stand. I have to tell you that my husband is the most incredible Sanford and son that you have ever had to meet. He drives along the roads of environs of Barbados, and he is keeping his eye out for things that people have thrown away as useless.
Yes.
All these things he drags along home here and makes use of. This whole stand, this metal stand here, is all to do with scrap that he picked up by that was people were dumping. So he make a stand for these two. So these were on gravity. So they're mounted off the ground, you see, and we work with a spigot, which we turn on, and you can then fill buckets and move with that water instead of the pump. So you would begin with this. If you didn't have the money to buy the small pump to pump the water, you would set your tank up on gravity higher, and then you would work with gravity and put a hose on it or a spigot on it and collect your buckets of water underneath.
Because I was going to ask you why you had it on something. So it's about gravity.
Yes,
got it.
About gravity, because we don't have a pump on that side. We just catch the water or use a hose and water the plants around that side or catch the water as we need it.
So let me ask you, Michelle, so this water that you're catching, this rainwater, you are living here in Barbados in St. John, and you use the rainwater to brush your teeth, you use it to shower as well?
Yes, to shower, to wash our clothes, to cook with, and all the rest of it. Yes, we can use it.
And you make it potable by putting a few drops of chlorine in that water, and it's good to go.
Yes. And while we still have gas and in the stove, and you still have stove, you can boil it, and obviously boil it and purify it that way, and drink your tea and make your juices and all the rest of it out of it. And if your gas on your stove was not working and you had run out of gas, you would simply light up your coal pot, which we'll talk about at the end, with your sea grape, and you would boil your hot water, you boil your rainwater out there and purify it that way. So there are many different ways of getting to the end, to the end of something. So there are many different ways of cooking without the regular natural gas, without the bottled gas. We can make a fire outside. We can use a coal pot and burn our own homemade coals. And there, it's how many ways can you do something when needed? Yes. So we move now to this rather empty cupboard that we have here. The reason it's empty is because we just depleted all the stores this weekend, carrying out care packages to families, mostly in St. John and St. George. What happens is we get these containers and we fill them. We go to a store that sells rice and flour and sugar in bulk. Everything is bought in bulk, and then we bring it home and store it in those containers. What we don't want to do is to store things for any long length of time and let weevils and bugs get into it. So we're constantly rotating the things. So one of our ministries is to reach out to others. So they get the stuff that is there, and then we replenish it all the time. In the plastic container at the far left is a huge container of first aid items. So that would have in all medicines required by our household, basic Panadols and things of that nature, bandages and Band-Aids and antiseptic and insect repellent and a sling and all sorts of things that are might be required when you could not get to medical help somewhere. And we have to understand there may become a time very shortly with this COVID virus that we're dealing with when doctors don't even want to come out to people, and they don't want you coming to their clinics.
Correct.
So we need to be learning our life skills, and we need to be well stocked in first aid items that
Yes.
we can take care of ourselves at home. A basic first aid course or a life-saving course, learning how to do CPR, and basic life support is a must, I think, today. If you are looking to hone in on a new skill, that is something that would save a life of your own family, or it could save another person's life.
Correct.
And it can barter very well. Right.
Explain that a bit more.
Okay, so I am a nurse, and you have a plumbing skill, and I need some plumbing work, and you have some issues that you want to talk to me about in the medical field. So we're going to barter that. You're going to come and fix my pipe, and I'm going to give you the information, or treat you, or bring my equipment and bandage you up, or whatever it is that's needed. And we barter our skills. One of these days, that may mean the difference between a life and death situation.
Yes.
For you and for the person.
Exactly.
So I think that is a very wise thing to stock up on your skills as well.
Yeah. Wow. This is really, really, really very good. Really very good.
So the containers that we're looking at are pretty much all containers that come from suppliers. People who clean pools bring chlorine in big drums. Chefette brings their ice cream in lovely buckets with lids, and they're always willing to sell them. You just have to call them up and tell them you're wanting to buy the buckets, and they will tell you how many they have at the time to spare. And the price is, I don't think the price is much. I think it's like $8 to $10 a bucket from Chefette.
Okay, so Chefette sells the buckets, these empty buckets. I got you.
They actually give them away, some of them. Yes, so they give away the buckets, the ice cream buckets. They actually give them away, but there are some that come with oil, and they will sell some of them. They come with oil. The oil ones you have to wash out a little bit more carefully, because they're oily, but you can still work it with some boiling water. So you want to get a nice airtight sealing down container to keep things in for a couple of months anyway. So we would have one with dog chow, because we have dogs, and we want to take care of our pets over a period of time as well. So we would have that. We would have the lentils and the rice and the oats and the flour in those types of things. Then on the shelves would be all the tin food, like the tunas and the corned beefs and the other things. Now, those are things that we don't always want to be eating too much of, but in times when you have to put together something quickly, those are very useful.
Yes,
and they have a shelf life of maybe 3 to 5 years. We give away things like tea and juice packages of juice that you just need to add water. A thing to keep in here is white vinegar. White vinegar acts as a cleaner in so many different ways. It is such a good product to have in your stash. There's the Clorox for a myriad of things that Clorox does. And these are like tie wraps and things that you need to tie up things. There's a table that you can set up anywhere and do stuff on right away. In the back now are things like a chainsaw, hammers, screwdrivers, and all manner of things like that. So this little area under a stairway in our house acts as our store area. And
so Michelle, I could ask you. So in the plan to go off the grid, storage is very important. Storing food that. So you're basically saying, I mean, I'm here listening and taking notes. So you're saying that it is important to plant your own food if you plan to go off the grid.
Yes,
Plant your own food.
yes,
You're saying that bartering is a key thing that is going to happen. No
yes,
money, no money will pass, but we're bartering skills and food and
yes,
exchanges. You're talking about using the rainwater,
yes,
harvesting rainwater.
yes, yes,
And now you're saying that to deliberately start storing food, storing canned goods, storing your rice, storing flour, whatever we can buy extra at the supermarket and store it, right?
yes, yes, that's right. Yes. The whole idea is to become sufficient for your self-sufficient. I don't like to use the word selfish. It's not selfish sufficiency, it's self-sufficient. So that when we go on the aircraft somewhere and the atmospheric pressure changes in the cabin, and they say, the air stewardess says to us, when the oxygen mask comes down, put yours on first before you turn to help someone else. That is the kind of thing that we're doing here. Yes, we are looking after our number one first, but we're looking after number one so that we can look after others as well. And we will be in a position to help others because we ourselves are able to take care of ourselves. So
Yes.
there is a two-way, a dual purpose thing here going on. And I really love the idea of it because we can model a lifestyle of sharing and being our brother's keeper. And I love that. I love that we can help each other in this situation. These bags, I want to talk a little bit about these bags because it's for longer periods of time that we have to store food or seed. You know, we're talking now, I didn't talk about this before, but you know, we've heard about the GMO, everything is GMO, genetically modified food, seed. And what it is that they remove the reproductive cycle out of seed, so that when you plant a crop of cucumbers with GMO seeds, you're only getting that one crop. There's no reproduction going on. You can't get the seed from that crop and plant another crop. So that is what's going on in this world today. And so it is important for us to get our old Barbadian cucumber and our okra and all the things that we know from our grandmother's time and reproduce that, have all the reproduction in them, and keep those seeds. These bags are very good for keeping seed and for keeping dried things like rice and flour and sugar and salt and pasta, and they can keep them up to 20 years. Why? Because you get, with the bags comes these little oxygen absorbers, and you pop one of these into each bag, and then you vacuum seal the bag with a sealer, and it draws out all the oxygen, and the item in there is now dry and vacuum packed, and it will last up to 20 years. These bags obviously have to be ordered from overseas. They come on Amazon.com and they can be shipped. They're quite light. They come in different sizes, and they're a must if you're going to look to be prepared for a longer advanced period of time. The drums and things like that are good for 3 to 6 months. For the most part, we put plastic liners into our drums and then put the item. And as I say, we recycle, because I mean, we circulate. We buy at the moment we have the power to still buy, but there may come a time when we do not have that power to buy. But right now, we are rotating our food and our items by sharing it with others who are lesser or not in a good place right now. But there will come a time when we may have to hold on to everything that we buy and not be able to replenish. So at that stage, we will want to store it for a longer period of time. So we've dealt with the food and the necessity to get off the grid with the food. We've dealt with what we're dealing with still with the water. Now again, and we're talking about purifying again. This is a purifying, very simple Sawyer water filter. And it requires 2 buckets and it comes with the kit. Everything is in the kit that you need except for the bucket. So again, Chauffette and different places we can get the bucket, and you set it up like this. There can be any size. The bottom one can have a lid with a hole where the filter end can screw in to keep out the dust and etc. Also, the bottom container can be stored up off the ground so that you can put a spigot on it to let the clean water out. Bit like the tanks outside in a smaller scale. But this filter has been used all over the world in places where there have been disasters, and especially Haiti. We took hundreds and hundreds of them to Haiti. We took them to St. Vincent sent them to St. Vincent. We didn't go when the volcano erupted there recently. They're easy to travel with, and right away, thousands and thousands of gallons of water can be purified with this simple method, and people can get life-giving water. So we've dealt with rainwater harvesting and food storage. Now,
So Michelle, I have a question for you.
Yeah,
With the back to where you have the 2 buckets, one is elevated on the table, and the other one is down. And you said that you put a spigot on. So is that what helps to purify the water?
No, the actual purifier is in that little thing that is that black. That little method there, that little bit there is the purifier there. That is the water filter. That's the filter inside that little black thing that is filtering the water as it goes down. Yeah.
So you attach this. You attach the filter. The spigot.
Yes, but you have to bore the hole in it, and it has the tool in the packet. Comes the tool to bore the hole in the container. And make a hole so that you can put it in, attach it, and then gravity feeds it, and you fill the top bucket full of water and it drains. You open the spigot on the little filter, has a little opening thing, and it drains straight into the bucket below.
Right. So the filter, we can get that here in Barbados, the filter and the spigot, and we can.
The Sawyer filters are actually all can be ordered online again. I'm not sure that, I'm pretty sure that somebody with a bit of know-how could collifox something and get a similar thing working here. It's just that we know about them because we bought them in bulk to use in emission strips. But yes, I am pretty sure that someone with a little know-how could collifox something and with the hardware stores here and make it. But it's something worth looking at to buy and keep at home. If you're going this road wholly and solely and you're really serious about going this way, it's something that would hold you in very good stead. You know, should the water go off for any length of time and you had to purify and filter water that you have otherwise. You know, some people have swimming pools, and in crisis, the swimming pool isn't really something of pleasure. It may be a very life-giving thing for a whole neighborhood to have a swimming pool and to dip water out of and purify it and change it into water that you could actually drink or use for bathing and for washing and cooking and all that. So, yeah, these small inexpensive filters are kind of foolproof as well. Anyone can set it up and use it. So the next slide shows us about another area of the grid that we would like to be free of if we could possibly get off of it for at least portions and parts of what we do. Obviously, we cannot run computers and things like that, but they do make Lucy lights today whereby you can charge your phone by them, which is incredible. It has an extra little gadget at the top of it here that you can plug in your phone and charge your phone from the sun that these have been charged with. These are called Lucy inflatable solar lights, and that's exactly what they are. They are inflatable. You blow them up like you would a ball, a beach ball, and on the top they have a solar panel. You place them in the sun. We have 8, 10, 12 hours of sun a day, and you place them in the sunshine and they charge up, and then they give you 8, 10, 12 hours of light.
And I see where you said you can even charge your phone on it.
Yes, there are new models now that you charge your phone on. We have a couple of them, and you plug your phone into the top of it where it has a little pluggy thing that you put in your cord to, and you can charge your phone. Very useful to keep at home, and do not turn on your lights in your house. Just put one in each room or move it from room to room as you move. And it has 3 different strengths of light. So there's a nice dim one if you want to have candlelit dinner. There's one that is brighter, and then there's one that will flash and give you like an emergency signal, so that if you wanted to alert someone that you were needing help, you could utilize it that way. They're inflatable, they are waterproof, they can go anywhere with you.
So you can use, this can be used as a outside light, you know, at night if you want to have a light outside. So it can be outside, it can be inside, it can be in the water, you know. Wow. And you can actually charge your phone on there, or probably your laptop. Can you do the laptop on there?
Also, yes, they're making them now with more, you know, the stronger solar panel. And with the fixtures that you can fix things to. So it's a very innovative idea. And for the cost, it's probably about $16 US per one. A bit more, a bit more if you want the ones with the solar, with the phone charger as well. But you're looking at $16 US, available at Walmart. We bought in bulk again from Walmart and shipped them.
And so, I mean, I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking about the you know, here you know, in Barbados or in the Caribbean, for you to get solar in your home, it's like hundreds and lots of money, thousands of dollars, not hundreds, I'm sorry.
Yes. 60,000 Barbados dollars to go off the grid, to put the solar panels all along your roof of your house and come off the grid. About 60,000 Barbados. It's deductible, tax deductible. Yes, if you own a home, makes sense for you to get a loan and do it. But if you don't own your home and you don't have that kind of outlay, or you can't service a loan like that, well, just start by using these little lights, or making candles using a paint tin, and buying the wick and getting the candle, you know, the solid pieces of wax, and make your own candles. There's many how-to kits on how to make your own candles. So there's lots of ways, and again, same thing as cooking. There's many different ways to make fire, to cook. There are many different ways to make light. And you know, where there's light, there's no darkness. So we can actually reduce our costs or survive without electricity for a period of time.
And so all we would have to do is we remember to put them out in the daytime.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's
just bring them in, and you can have one in each room.
Yes,
Is that
and
something?
or if you know, or start with one and move it around with you, because I mean, you can only be in one room at a time, and so that is pretty much. We put ours up high, like you know, above our height, and it spreads light further. So you know, you can start with just one or two.
Yeah.
They last. We've had these ones that we have now, probably 8 or 9 years.
What?
Yeah.
And so you
Yeah.
made that one-time purchase of say
Yes.
16 US, and
Yes.
you can light your home at night so that you're
Yes.
completely off the grid.
You could just,
You know,
yes,
wow.
yes, and not turn on your light, depending obviously if you want to watch television and things like that. Obviously, you'll use the electricity, you know, but every one of us doesn't have to watch television.
Mhm.
You know, there are other things that we can do without. So there are times when you can save quite a bit by
Yes.
using them. Yeah, it's just another tool. And obviously, if you had to move out and go away from your home and live outdoors for a period of time, these would be excellent to have with you. So a Lucy light, well, there was an agent here in Barbados. He became the agent, and he was selling them to Price Smart and Carter's. Both of them were available at those places. But we found that what they were bringing in was a smaller model, and it was an inferior model, and it was not as long lasting and sturdy as this particular model. But
Right.
I'm not sure if he went out of business or what happened. I'm not sure if they're still available, but they were available here last hurricane season. So it's worth an ask. It's worth an ask at Carter's and Price Smart if necessary. The next slide here is all about containers. You know, we go and we buy, when in good times, we bought juice in those containers, or we bought nuts in those other ones, screw top things. Keep them all, wash them out, take your labels off, make them nice and pretty looking like that. And keep as many as you can in your house, because they're going to come in useful for a whole ton of things that you're going to be doing with stuff that you want to store and keep dry and keep fresh. So you can't have enough of them. And then generators. This is more of a long-term investment, but a generator helps again if the power goes off and you have stuff in your freezer and fridge and you don't want it to perish. At least you would have a generator that you could full start, get it on a nice high quality extension cord, run to your fridge or freezer and run it there in your garage. You would want, behind here is red diesel and gas. We would keep containers of diesel and gas behind the generators to run them on. So that if you could not get gas or diesel from the gas station, you would have a supply.
All about being prepared. All about being prepared.
Yes, yes, exactly. Living prepared. No, it doesn't mean that you have to hear that a hurricane or a storm or anything is coming. There's a preparedness that keeps you in a place of calm and a place of knowing that you are ready for what come what may, as best as you can. The rest we leave up to God, but we are going to do our part to be ready for what come what may. The last slide here is a way that we cook in the backyard of the kitchen. It's about the level of standing level of the stairs, of the steps, the back steps in the kitchen.
Yes.
So outside of the kitchen, we have put this stand, which is cement and steel, and cast that base on the top and got our coal pot from St. Vincent. And then my husband made this very basic looking, what do you call it?
It's a grill,
the grate, yeah, the grill to put on the top to place the food on. Now, you know, we just scrub it with a metal brush, an iron brush that has, that's it. We don't get into too much excitement over sanitizing that fella there. But he goes into the heat, so he gets nice and clean with the heat, okay? So he cooks out here using seed grape. I was so impressed when he told me that. Those buckets up on the right side, bottom right-hand corner, are full of seed grape bricks or blocks that he cuts about 5 to 6 inches long.
Right.
They fit into the coal pot. Underneath them, he will place some old cardboard boxing that he's chopped up or torn up to fuel it, to light it. And then he will place his sea grape or his casuarina or whatever that he collects about the roads and environs that he goes around. And that is how we cook. On that goes fish and chicken and steak and pork and pumpkin and zucchini and sweet potatoes. All that stuff goes on top of there, just basted with some olive oil and some herbs and spices and different things. Down below this stand are all the basil and thyme and all those things he's growing in pots right along there.
So you can just literally just pick from around your home, and my goodness.
So he cuts that what he needs off and makes his seasoning right there and then. Oh, there.
Wow, this is awesome. I'm here saying I need to get one of those coal pots, because you know what? I have this, I mean, a huge tree. I can see it looking right here. A huge grape tree. So that's something, and I you know, I really want to get one of those coal pots. But you know, someone from Jamaica was saying that you can actually use the rim of a tire. That's, you know, the metal rim.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. That's interesting.
Yes.
That's interesting.
So these ones I think we can obtain with these regular weekly schooners coming up. We can put in touch. Some of us know people who live in St. Vincent and Trinidad. And we ask them, because they make them down there out of cast iron, and they bring them, you know, they're down in the town. Kingstown has them on the side of the street. So if you knew somebody that can get you one, you could invest in that, because that is never going to run out. It's never.
I'm telling you, and you're going to need food. You know, you can, so much you can eat raw. You still need to prepare and be able to. So wow. So you have taken us, I mean, covered so many areas. You know, you talked about the importance of planting our own food, and you're using, some people say backyard gardening, but you're literally using your front yard. And you're planting, I mean, beautiful heads of cabbage there. And you're talking about, you know, all of the fruit trees and how you have your breakfast right there from your garden. Vitamin C, look at this, so beautiful. Beautiful. So keep showing up some of those pictures. Beautiful.
So that is just the cherry tree growing right behind all the heliconia. And this is a lemon bay that we can make wonderful tea with, and so on. And behind that is the mango, and this is the big mango tree. And then every seed, you know, somebody gives us a pawpaw, so you don't throw your seeds away. You don't just scoop out the pawpaw, pelt the seed away, you plant it, and there's a pawpaw tree. 2 pawpaw trees. Here's the several orange seedlings from a orange that was going to be used now to graft with the limes to get the big seedless limes, or the, you know, a different type of lime. Seed is reproductive. Many of these GMO companies now are purposely removing the reproduction out of plants so that you only get that one crop. Guess why? Because they want you back there to buy more. And we're not about that. We want to plant and plant and plant. So here is soursop saplings. They're going to be put into pots now and become trees and soursop. Here's a common little old pot with some seasoning growing in it, and some spinach right by the back door by the back steps where you would right up underneath coal pot. Here's some nice sugar cane, the best quality that was ever brought to Barbados, Juicy Lucy. We have some growing right here. We can get our own sugar cane. Not a lot, but you still see some. Here's spinach growing wild, just going crazy everywhere. You know, you have an area that you don't mind that. This is a building under here, and this is all yellow passion fruit vines. The monkeys jump on this like a trampoline. You can see the fruits here. They're green at the moment, but the monkeys jump on this like a trampoline and eat what they want and still leave us some. See them there? The fruits are there.
Yes.
Yeah. So here's a yellow meat breadfruit sucker that he's planted, and he's gonna look after that till it's a nice big tree. Guess what these are? Jamaica Aki.
Yes.
Yep. And common sweet basil. So all of this is what grows all around our back kitchen area. Pop out there and grab some and cook with it. Look, we didn't have anywhere to put this fella here, so he's happily bearing his limes.
Oh, in a pot.
Yeah.
Wow. This is
space,
tremendous. This is tremendous.
These are some of the hottest peppers in the world, the chocolate 7-pot habanero.
Oh my word.
He's what they call a pepperhead.
Listen, you need to give me some seeds from that. I need because I love pepper, so I need some seeds.
Well, I see him with the tweezers when he dries them down, and he gets his tweezers and he plants them into trays. And so there you go. There's another one there, worry. That's the worry one. And there you go. So many different things going on all the time. So no time to be bored, no time to say I haven't got anything to do.
It looks to me living off the grid is fun. It's
a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. Lot of fun.
Well, you know what? I just want to thank you so much for sharing with us, and to say to everybody, listen, it looks like a lot of work, but it looks doable. Yes. It looks doable and it looks like fun. And I believe that, you know, with all the things that Michelle spoke about, that a lot of us, we can get started. So she talked about planting your own food in your backyard or your front yard, bartering the same food or a service for food, bartering, because the time is going to come when we might not have the money, the cash to buy and sell.
Right.
And then she talked about harvesting rainwater. Rainwater, very, very important. And the Sawyer water filter, which you can purchase. But, you know, at the moment in Barbados, we can't get them in Barbados, so we can get the Sawyer water filter brought in. And then she talked a lot about storage of food. Very important in those Mylar bags. Yes. That would keep it up to 20 years, people, 20 years. You could keep the food stored. So when you're going to supermarket now, you should be buying a little extra so you can store away, whether it's flour, sugar, rice, whatever it is. And you talked about electricity, and that how we could come off the grid in the area of electricity by just getting those Lucy lights. Lucy is the solar lights that you can get. You don't have to, you know, wait to pay $60,000 to get solar in your home, you know. And you also talked about seeds, storing seeds, storing seeds, and we talk here about the Mylar bags as well, right? So, I mean, this is a tremendous, this is a lot of information for those of you who want to come off the grill. And, you know, listen, I forgot about the coal pot. How could I forget about the coal pot? And using either the Catarina, dried wood, or we can use from the great sea grape tree that gives great fire. For the food, we got to get the food. We have to cook them Jamaican akis that we see in there.
Yes.
Have to get everything cooked. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you for being on and for educating all of us on what it takes to live off the grid. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Welcome. Thank you, Marcia. I just wanted to add there are many, many resources online for going this way. And I would urge you, if you have any little spare time, to go online and put in living off the grid and look at the resources that are there. There are so many ideas and so many things that you can learn about.
Well, thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.